Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. I think art and creativity make the world go around, make life bearable during tough times like these. And that's why I do this. I love it. Today my guest is Mitch Silpa. He is an actor and writer, and he has a show coming out called 5 Game Shows and a Funeral. And when I saw that title, I was like, I have to talk to Mitch. He's been on the podcast before when he was doing a show with your friend of mine, Drew Droege. But this is his own show, and it's about 5 game shows and a funeral. It's at Dynasty Typewriter on Monday, February 24th here in LA. And I will be there, and we get into some game show talk on this episode, because I've been on almost as many as him. Not quite as many, but we get into it. And then there's one story I tell about a heartbreaking moment where I almost got on my dream show and I did not. So stick around for that. But before we get to the interview, I want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by me. I do it. I love it. I'm into it. But it doesn't pay the bills. But you can help it maybe sort of start to do that maybe a little if you go to Dennis Anyone and leave a tip in my virtual tip jar. There's also a thing on there called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee, and it makes my day. The other thing you could do if you want to support the podcast is consider becoming a subscriber to DNR Studios. I'm part of this cool group of shows, queer shows, under the Derek and Romaine banner, and for a monthly fee, you get my show early, and you get all these other fun shows. So check that out at dnrstudios.com. I also want to get a plug-in for my newsletter. I send out a monthly newsletter. I don't know if I've ever even talked about it on the podcast before, which is not good marketing. Anyway, if you go to dennisanyone.net, there's a box in the right-hand corner, and you click newsletter and you subscribe. It's cute. It's monthly. It has fun news and whatever's going on. And if you do that, you get to see maybe my favorite picture of Enzo, my dog. He's on a raft in a pool in Palm Springs, living his best life, and it's adorable. All right, that's enough for the plugs. Here now is the interview with Mitch Silpa. Joining me now from Los Angeles, it's actor-writer Mitch Silpa, whose show, 5 Game Shows and a Funeral, is coming to Dynasty Typewriter on February 24th at 7:30. Mitch, welcome back to the podcast. You've been on here before. I have. I'm thrilled. I think I feel like, was the last time I was on by myself, or did I do it with Drew Droege? I feel like you did it with Drew Droege, but because you and Drew do those funny back and forth things, and you do shows together and performances and so forth. But what caught my eye was you've got this show about game shows, and I'm obsessed with them. So I'm like, oh, this is right up my alley. I love them, and you talk about the ones that you've been on, but also you talk about your love affair with game shows generally. Yeah. So talk to me about the beginnings of when you first started watching game shows, because it was the best thing about staying home from school. Oh. If you were sick. Yes. When sometimes in full disclosure, I would fake an illness so I could stay home. I would do that too. Or I'd be like, I'm sicker than I could have gone to school, but I want to watch The Price is Right. So I'm going to turn this up a notch. We like Ferris Bueller the whole thing. For the whole thing. The whole thing. Yeah. And I would also like my dog. This was the 70s and 80s. And so we had 2 dogs, and my parents wouldn't let them in the house. They would always sleep outside, which was now seems so awful. But it was when I would stay home, sick or quote unquote sick, I would let the dogs in the house. But because my parents both worked, and So that was like a double wonderful thing. Oh, yeah. Dogs in the house and game shows. And Price is Right was always the last one. And then it would be soaps, right? Because you write about that in the thing. And when the soaps came on, it was like, ugh. No, it was a bummer. It was such a bummer. You would think because we're the stereotype of being gay and everything that we'd be so into the soap operas. But I was never into daytime soaps. I was always into nighttime, like when Dynasty and Dallas and all that started. I was into that. But I just didn't it's so funny. I guess I didn't like the look of daytime soaps. I didn't care about them. It just was boring to me. I did get into soaps a bit later because my mother watched Guiding Light. And you don't say The Guiding Light. It's just Guiding Light. Guiding Light. And I remember when Lou Jack died and I wanted to wear black for a week. But this was later. Early days, it was TV game shows. And there was Price is Right was always a mainstay at 10. But then there would be new ones that they would try at 9. And then 9:30, and then some would last. Maybe you've got a Pressure Luck in there, or a Pressure Luck. I can't remember when Pressure Luck. There were some game shows
that came on in like the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like Match Game came on later. And I can't remember if Press Your Luck was like in the morning or in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But maybe it was in the morning. But I remember, you know what, you're talking about game shows that came and went, but there was a game show that stays in my memory, and I think it only lasted for one season. It was, I think, the late 70s, and it was a game show. They kept trying these game shows, I feel like, and pinball machines were kind of a big thing at the time. So there was a game show, and I cannot remember the name of it, like big, giant pinball thing. But it was this huge pinball machine, like a ridiculously huge pinball machine. And it seemed like on paper that it would have at least attracted kids or somebody to watch it, but it just bombed. Because really, when you get down to it, watching somebody playing pinball is not that exciting. Right.
There's too much chance. It is not. I think Brooke Shields learned this in the movie Tilt, which people did not go see. Hence that proves the point. Do you remember a game show called Money Maze, where there were two teams and there was two people on a team, and one was in a maze and the other one was trying to guide them from above, like turn right, turn left, hit the button, hit the button.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah.
That does sound familiar. Drew actually mentioned Drew Drogi, but he reminded me of a game show there was a game show that lasted also for one season, I think in the 90s or maybe late 80s, called Rodeo Drive.
Oh, I don't remember this.
Nobody does. And I mean this with all sincerity. After we're done with this, please look it up. Look it up, and there's an episode. It is so much fun. It's so bad. It's so cheesy, but it's great.
Yeah.
And the host is amazing. I think her last name is Duart. Duart.
Right.
Yeah. It's great.
Well, I've always loved them. And it's funny because it's kind of, my life now is kind of game shows. Like between the Mismatch Game and then I host these virtual game nights of this game I co-created, You Don't Know My Life. And just today I submitted to being a content producer on a new game show. And I hope to hell I get it because
Can you tell me?
I don't know if I don't know if I can yet. Maybe it's new. It has not premiered yet. But I feel like I did well on my packet, and we will see.
Good luck. It's a cool one. You were asking there's something about game shows, and I don't have a line on this in the show, but there is something about game shows, and I hadn't thought about this until I got older. That, like when you're watching The Price is Right or something, there's something about watching it and there's somebody on it, is a contestant on it, and the audience is everyone's cheering for them. Yeah. And everyone's rooting for them. And there's something I would get moved by. Like I would genuinely get moved by, and I couldn't articulate it. There's something about, go with me on this because it sounds. No, I love this stuff. There's something about the best of humanity. Yeah. That comes out in game shows, because I know it's like capitalist, like you're winning prizes, you're winning money, but everybody wants that person to win. The person watching on TV, everyone in the audience, you're so invested, and you're not getting anything from that. They win or they lose, it's them. You don't get anything. Yeah. Like if they win, but you feel so happy for them. And there's something so wonderful about that. Like that game shows do that to people, that you're like literally cheering them on, or you get so mad at them if they make a mistake. Yeah, you get really invested. Twice this year I was in the audience for Let's Make a Deal in a goofy outfit and the whole thing. And I thought I had a chance to get on. What did you dress as? Well, I have this rainbow suit from the Gay Pride Mismatch Game, so I just wore that. Maybe I was a disco ball. I didn't know. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, Wayne Brady never asked, so I didn't have to come up with a story. But in the before you go to the studio, you're all mingling and they want you to get to know each other. And there was a woman there that had driven all night from Arizona, 12 hours. Her family has a farm. She has like 17 kids, and I think she has some special needs kids in her family, and just a business and all of this stuff. And like, damn it, if she didn't win, and I was so happy for her. Yeah, because you like drove all night. I drove from North Hollywood to Glendale. Twice. Didn't get picked, but you know what? It was okay. They have a fun time over there. So you were on 5. Wait, can I just say, yes. My mom was when I was a kid. She used to tell me that because she went on Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
This was back in like the late 60s.
When it was Carol Merrill?
Carol Merrill
Yeah.
and like Monty Hall was
Yeah.
the host. And my mom went on with her two sisters and they dressed, I guess their costume was, they dressed like three little girls. Like,
Ooh, that's edgy. So there was like a third girl that was like a phantom girl.
no, they're all three of them. There's two.
There's
her
two.
and her two
Oh,
sisters.
I got
There are
you.
three of them.
Oh,
that would have been really
I thought you were like
creepy.
talking two people
like
making three people. Okay.
like a dead person's next
Maybe
to them.
like a
No.
Weekend at Bernie's kid or something. I don't know.
Or like very like The Shining
Yeah.
twins, but with a third one. No, and they did not get picked either.
They didn't get picked either.
Get picked. But my mom told me that Monty Hall came up to them afterwards and said, "Oh, if I saw you in the audience, I would have picked you." I'm like, he was probably flirting with you.
I know. I feel like game show hosts, some of them might be a little pervy. Like, I feel like I think there's a dark side is the point.
Do you think, well, that was like, certainly like the Richard Dawson, like,
Oh, yeah.
that whole thing. But like, that was like the 70s and everybody was kissing. They would kiss each other. Or if you even watch like, as I do, watch Buzzer and watch old episodes of Match Game. But it is like almost every contestant on that is just like this beautiful woman. And they are very open. The comments are very open about their looks and their body or something like that. Or yeah, it's a different time.
Different time, but so fun to think about and to watch. You have 5 game shows in your show that you've been on. I feel like I have experiences with 5 as well. So we'll talk about yours and then I'll throw in my little things and see if you relate to any of them. So the first game show you were on was kind of a local LA thing, right? Talk to me about that.
It was called Grab Bag, and I don't even know how long it was on. I can't even find it anywhere. It's like it's not even on the internet. Like, I can't find it, but I know I was on it.
I love that you made up your own logo for it because you couldn't even find the logo.
Yes, but don't reveal that. That's a joke in the show.
Yeah, like just
Whatever.
Classic.
I had to, but it was a show that was like specifically for kids to be on, and it was really low budget. And we went on in my fifth grade. In my fifth grade class went on it like one day. I still don't know why, but you got picked to be sitting in the audience,
right?
Like, like kind of like Price is Right, but some guy just would go up to people and point at people during the commercial and say you. And then I got to go on it, and I didn't win, but I got a consolation prize. I won an ant farm. Ant
farms used to be a thing. Like you would watch them. I think I might have had one. I don't remember ever enjoying it really, but that was a thing.
Why would you enjoy it?
Yeah. I don't know. Just to see what they're up to. They're working so hard. Yeah.
I wasn't into that.
One thing I related to so much in the show is like once or twice in these game show adventures, there's something physical that you have to do that's almost sporty. And the gay kid in you is like, fuck, can't we just have Olivia Newton-John trivia? Like, why am I having to do this?
So self-conscious about anything that had to do with physical activity or sports or coordination. Like as a kid, like being a gay kid, my dad was like so into like sports and wanted so badly to have a son that was like that. And I wasn't the son that you wanted, but like, and then I became like, I'm better at sports now, but as a kid, I was so self-conscious about it. So like if we had to do something on a game show that was like a stunt, I was like, fuck. Can I just answer questions? Yes,
I know all the questions. No, I related to that so much. And your dad is sort of a running character throughout the movie, and the show. Yes, it's going to be a movie. I'm manifesting.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, my dad would try occasionally to get me to do butcher things like going camping and stuff like that. It felt like something that happened every 6 years. He would try, but I think I have this person that I listen to on podcast, Scott Galloway, and he's like, parents, you got to get into what your kids are into. Don't try to get them into what you're into if they're not into it. That feels like a no-brainer. But our generation, my dad was going to sit down and watch, Charlie's Angels and rate them with me. Was he?
Yeah, but it doesn't say no. But like it also like I guess maybe it's a generational thing. You might be right, but my dad was very much like that. Like my dad was like he was just not into what I was into,
right?
But
and didn't try.
But I feel like I'm not saying that I don't have kids. I'm past that place now to have kids. But like I know that if I had a kid, one of the fun things about it seems like it would be I wonder what this child is into. And And I think I'd be really into, like, if I had a boy that was into football, I would like, all right, I guess I have to figure this out.
Yes,
like,
it would be an adventure.
Yes, like, because that's what he's into, and I wouldn't want to make him into something that I am.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's that's part. I imagine that's kind of the fun of having a kid.
Yeah,
figuring out what they're into and like why they're into it.
Yeah. So Grab Bag was your first game show. I would say my first experience with a game show is when my swing choir in high school went to Family Feud. We went to a taping of it. We came to California. We went to Disneyland and Knott's and all the places you go. And then we went to a taping of Family Feud. And they showed our choir in the audience. And I think I might have it on VHS. It was the most exciting thing that had ever happened. And this was my first trip out of Arizona. And I dreamt about this trip in my dreams all summer. The Movieland Wax Museum. Like, it was such a, I don't know, it was such a new reality for me. Disneyland, all these places, that I dreamt about it for the rest of the summer. Like, I just couldn't stop it. But we did not play. We were just in the audience at Family Feud.
So you were just coming to watch a taping of it?
Yeah, and it was still the most exciting thing ever. And they announced us.
I get it.
Yeah.
They cut to you and they like, you're like jumping, like waving at the camera. And
stuff. Like all of us, maybe in outfits. I don't know.
I remember when I did, so I was on Card Sharks, I'm jumping, but I was on
that's okay.
Which when I was 14 years old, they had a teen week. But when my parents took me and my sister is like a year and 8 months older than me. And she brought her friend Jill, and they sat in the audience. And there was one time at the end of a show where they go, if you want to be in the studio audience of Card Shark, and they pan the audience. And I just have this vivid memory of my sister and Jill pointing at the camera and like two Valley girls just like laughing and like so excited that they got on camera.
Yeah.
It's like a thing.
It's such a thing. Now, you grew up, right, in California?
Yeah.
All your life. So, like, for me coming out here, when I first moved out here, I would drive past 6430 Sunset Boulevard and go, oh, that's where you send your cards to be a contestant on all those shows. Oh, right? Yeah. That's the address. You would hear it every time. Reach out to 6430. I'm like, that's the place. And it's just an office building.
Is it just an office building?
Yeah, kind of by the ArcLight. Yeah.
Isn't that where CNN... That's not where CNN
it is.
Is that where it is? That's where we went, if my memory is correct.
If memory serves.
If memory serves, when we auditioned for Card Sharks, my dad drove me there, and I swear it was that building. And we had to they told the parents to wait in the lobby, and they took all the kids into another room and auditioned us. But I swear it was that building.
Yeah, it probably was. It was probably Mark Goodson, Bill Todman Productions, maybe. Oh, yeah. Card Sharks I loved because, there were cards and you had to say if you thought a number would be higher or lower. And then they would always have these polls where it's like, we asked 100 flight attendants, how many times a week do you think about quitting? And then the contestant would have to act like they're an expert. And they would be like, well, Bob, I've flown a fair amount. And I think that number's going to be a little bit lower. And they would, you felt like they were coached to try to seem like they had expertise, and also and then they would draw it out a little bit higher. Did you feel like you had to have a reason? You couldn't just say higher or lower. You had to do some shtick.
No, they made it very clear.
Yeah.
I remember they made it very clear when we auditioned, and we had rounds of audition. Like the first round was they said the first round was just like seeing our personalities, and that we would introduce ourselves and like say something interesting. And they told us to be like animated.
Right.
And then they went away, and then they read a list of kids they wanted to stay. And if you made it to the second round, that was like the written test where they asked questions like that. And then the third round, we got to play if you made it to that round, they made more cuts that we got to play the game. And they told us specifically that when we answer the questions, like the poll questions, like how many bachelors have said, to not just say a number, but to like give a brief explanation to articulate on it, because I think it would just be like boring.
Right. It's better TV.
In which you're like, how many flight attendants have thought about quitting in the last month? I think that's 24. Great. I think that's going to be higher. Great. and boring.
Right.
Like, they wanted you to be like, especially as a kid, they kind of wanted us to be a little bit like
precocious. Yeah.
Like, I think that, well, flight attendants are really going to have a tough job. Like, what the fuck did we know?
No, that's what's so funny about it is you feel these contestants having to act like they have expertise or insight. And then they go
have an opinion about
a
something.
little bit lower, but you did feel like you had to deliver something there apart from just an answer.
They were clear that they wanted us to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
They wanted the people to see our personality.
Who was the host of Card Sharks? Do you remember?
Jim Perry.
Jim Perry.
He was
interesting.
I just remember he was so nice. He was the nicest guy, and he was really like, it really felt like he was like rooting for us and for me, and and just seemed like a really nice guy. And also that was the first like network game show I'd been on. But they told us, I mean, they scared us. Like when we got there and all the kids, we went through a rehearsal and all that stuff, that there were so many rules because of the game show scandals.
Of course.
That it's now like, you can't talk to, we were like, you're not allowed to talk to anybody.
Right.
Except for the casting coordinators, the casting directors there, and each other, the other contestants. But like they said, if we got picked to be on the show, because some of the kids were standby, and we went out there, that we literally, when we got on stage, we could not look into the audience. We weren't allowed to wave to our parents. If we were, we'd be disqualified.
Wow.
We're so paranoid about anybody cheating or being accused of cheating. So Jim Perry, I don't remember if we were allowed to talk to him during the commercial breaks. Maybe we were. I can't remember, but to answer your question, he was a really nice guy.
Yeah, I love it. You want the host to be nice. And I'm not going to reveal in this conversation whether you win or lose. People have to come and see the show. But you break it down and you have clips. Did you have all those clips ready to go, or did you have to find them? Like,
I had to find them, but like the Card Sharks one was such a, like, it was in the 80s, early 80s, and that we did not own a VCR at the time. And so me being on Card Sharks made my family buy a VCR so we could record it. So we used to watch it. I used to watch it a lot. My dad would watch it a lot. And then I got it transferred to like DVD and like, and then digital. But the other game shows I kind of had VHS copies of.
Right.
So I had to get them transferred, but when I was writing the show, like I hadn't watched some of this stuff in like, I don't even know how long.
What struck you about the footage when you went back and looked at it?
Card Sharks is so vulnerable. I don't have the grab bag thing, which would be amazing, but like Card Sharks, cause I was 14, I think, when I watch that, I'm watching, it's kind of like when you're acting in something and people are watching it, but when I'm acting in something, I watch myself and I'm thinking like what I was thinking when I was shooting that, like, oh, that line I had trouble with, or like I was feeling this, or I was whatever. But Card Sharks, I think about like what I felt like when I was 14 years old.
Right.
And, like being a little gay closeted kid and being so afraid and like, and trying to like not be too gay but all that stuff. And also like I rehearsed so much, like I practiced. I went into my bedroom at night and I would set up, because that show had like 2 decks of cards, and one was like the blue cards and one the red cards. And I would play it and I would like pretend to be both contestants.
Right.
I mean, and I would figure out the odds of the cards. So I think of all that when I'm watching that show.
Yeah.
Like when I'm watching Card Sharks, it brings back that whole time period. And I'm wearing this like very velour shirt.
Of course, velour was the way to go.
Velour shirt. Yeah.
It was so hot. Both of your parents, you talk about both of them in the piece.
Yeah.
Your mom was a rule breaker, kind of a badass, and your dad liked to take risks. And you write about being the best little boy in the world and being the gay boy that's going to be the good student. I related to that so much. And there's one thing where you have to do where it's one more added thing you have to try to keep track of. And you're like, and you write that you're dancing as fast as you can. And I related to that so much. Like you're just trying to keep The thing from being out there, the thing that you're most afraid of, and that's a little heartbreaking.
Well, it's also like, like I imagine every kid probably, has things that they're so like embarrassed about, or like they don't want people to know, or they're insecure about. But like being gay, like, I mean, I remember my first memory of thinking that I was I don't know if I had the word gay, but when I was 6, I can remember looking at another boy in my class and feeling like an attraction for them, and also knowing, oh, you need to shut up about this. Like I was smart enough to know that, and it wasn't like I grew up in an environment that it was talked about much. But I mean, I picked up on something that I was like, you better shut up. So keeping that a secret is just enough of a burden. But then like my family had all these secrets, and then I had secrets that were, my dad had a gambling issue and I was told not to talk about it. And like, it's just a lot of stress.
Just a 14-year-old dancing as fast as he can. I just related so much.
My sister, everything kind of like brushed off her so easy. Yeah. She was like so popular. I took fucking everything on. I held it all in. Yeah, I couldn't handle anymore.
Well, they make good one-man shows. It's good for a show. My second game show would be one called Jumble. It was like the scrambled word game. And Wink Martindale was the host.
Oh, God.
And you were unscrambling words, and you had to enter your answers on a telephone keypad. Like, number 1 would be ABC, 2 would be 1, 2, 3. I guess they were doing some thing where people played at home as well.
What year was this?
It would have been like 1995, maybe.
Yeah, that feels 90s.
And you would have an idea in your head, but you had to figure it out on the phone keypad. And I remember Wink Martindale making some kind of a fart joke, which is what you want. And also, Wink Martindale is the ultimate game show host name.
It's amazing.
And also,
it's like Dallas Raines.
Yeah. Yes.
Like a weather man.
Yeah. Like it's great. And I actually took a version of what happened and put it in my novel Misadventures in the 213. The character goes on Jumble and it's Wink and farts and all the rest of it. But I remember winning. I won a trip to New Orleans and a pair of diamond earrings, which I think I sold on the recycler. But I went to New Orleans. I took my friend Mike from college. We had a great time, and it would have been 95 because I did the AIDS ride that year, and I did a training ride when I was in New Orleans, and it was 95. So it was a triumph, but it was like one of those small scale cable game shows. Nobody knew of it really, but I won.
Was it? Well, congratulations!
Thank you. Thank you.
Great, but also Jumble. I actually have a reference to Jumble in the show. But
you do? I saw that.
Because it used to be in the newspaper where you'd play Jumble. Yeah. And I
did that all the time.
I loved word games.
Yeah.
I loved word games. But yeah, Jumble. When you said something else, I forgot I was going to comment on. But whatever. That's
Wink Martindale.
Wink Martindale. That's it. He did Tic-Tac-Toe.
Yep.
You remember that show?
Of course.
That was a show, Tic-Tac-Toe, and there was Joker's Wild that was on like
Sundays at 6:30 or something,
or like weeknights before dinner, or something like that. Like I watched, like I was like, my mom would call dinner, and I'm like, no, I'm like watching Tic-Tac-Toe,
or the new Treasure Hunt with Jeff Edwards. And I remember when he spelled his name Geoff, and it fucking blew your mind. It blew my mind. None of the Jeffs at my school were with a G.
Yeah, it wasn't like Jeffrey the Giraffe from Toys R Us, stuff like that.
Yeah, who was the hottest game show host?
Oh, God.
Maybe Peter Tamarkin from Pressure Luck. He was a little darker.
Okay, how about this? How about like a young Chuck Woolery?
Maybe.
Or, you know who was really cute? I was on a game show called Hollywood Showdown.
Yeah.
That was like on PAX TV.
Right. That's in your show.
The host was Todd Newton. Do you know who he is?
I feel like he was a dancer, but I could be wrong. Oh, no. He was like on E. He was like an E person.
He was very, very attractive and so nice, which made him more attractive. But the press your luck guy was cute.
Yeah.
Didn't he die in a plane crash or something?
He might have. I don't know. People in the car listening to this are going, yes, he did. Or no, he didn't.
Yeah. I think he did.
Yeah. Bob Eubanks wasn't bad either. Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
No.
But I felt like when I was a kid, I was so horny. I was attracted to everybody.
Yeah.
Like so many crushes.
Even Bob Barker on a good day.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, like young Bob Barker was kind of attractive.
Yeah. Were you like me? Did you always buy the home version of every game show when it came out by Milton Bradley, and we would make your friends play even if they didn't want to?
Yeah, not everyone, but yes, I would try to buy the game show. Like, I think I got Family Feud.
Yeah.
Like, I loved Family Feud.
Yeah, so good.
Oh, that's another one. This is weird, but I remember being attracted to Richard Dawson when he was on Match Game.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to think he was so, like, he was charming as fuck, but, like, now, like, he just got, like more, like, grosser.
Yes. he was like, if he doesn't finger you, you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, what, am I not pretty? So your next game
he just
show
didn't finger the old women.
Yes, it's crazy. And you were on Scrabble. Speaking of Chuck Woolery,
I was. Speaking of Chuck Woolery,
yes,
I was on Scrabble. I was like 20, and that was a college week, and I went on that. That show was really interesting. It was based on the game.
Yeah, I don't remember how it worked exactly.
It was okay. It was so 80s. Like it was like on crack, because it was like the set moved. It was constantly moving around. Like I love moving sets, like Magic.
Oh yeah.
And then it had like anything that happened, they had a sound effect for it. Like the board opens up and it's like no 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 no.
Right.
And then they had basically this huge Scrabble board, and the contestants had these like tiles in front of them, and you would pick a numbered tile and go, I'll pick a 2, I'll pick a 4, and then 2 letters would come up, and Chuck would give you the clue, and you place the letter. You go, I'll take the L. And then it would go, no, 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 no. And it'd either be an L in there, or you'd get like a red stopper, which you lose your turn.
Oh, ouch.
And so you had to ouch. And then I think you had to get 3 words right to win and then go to the bonus round.
Right.
But I think it lasted a few years.
Yeah, no, it was on for a while. I remember that. Yeah. My next game show was called That's the Question. And I think it was Bob Goen that hosted it. And it was on some obscure channel, maybe Game Show Network, maybe somewhere else. This would have been in like 2006, something like that. And I think it was trivia, some kind of trivia. And I won. There was just 2 of us playing. And I wiped the floor with this poor woman and won $5,000.
Oh, yay.
On That's the Question. Yeah. I don't remember much more about it. Bob Goen was like an Entertainment Tonight guy. And he was phoning it in. There was no studio audience. He was there for the check. Yeah.
There was no studio audience?
I don't think so. I don't think there was. I know. But you know what?
Fun.
That check cleared. And this is going to sound cocky, but I was like, there was a moment in the middle where I'm like, I am wiping the floor. And I felt a little bad about it, but not bad enough to like not buzz in, you know?
Were you like, she was just couldn't get in?
She maybe just couldn't get in, didn't know her stuff, you know? She's not a pop culture obsessed gay kid who's dreamed of this moment in entire fucking life. So
dude,
look out.
Like, what if you found out this was a terribly traumatic event for this poor woman?
I know.
This gay, and she just like all of a sudden hated gay people.
No, maybe that could have been the beginning of it. That could have started. I could be behind January 6th. Come to think of it.
I was Hollywood Showdown, the one that it was on PAX TV with Todd Newton.
Yeah.
That was also about trivia, like Hollywood and like entertainment trivia.
Right.
And that one was like right up my alley. I feel like, because now I don't know if you watch this, but on Amazon, Colin Jost hosts like a pop culture Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And it's like a tournament, and I watch it, and I feel, you just feel elderly. There's so many things. I am just like certain categories. I'm like anything with TikTok, anything with like anything with an influencer, like all this stuff, like songs, certain songs. I'm like, Oh, wow. I would not do that well on the show now.
Well, I used to know every song in the top 20. Like I followed the Billboard charts, and now like I watch the Grammys, and I like a lot of those pop girlies did well. So I'm kind of like I'm up on Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan and all that stuff. But so many of those times I'm like I couldn't tell you any of those songs. Yeah. So Hollywood Showdown, how did that one work? Was it trivia?
It was all trivia. It was all trivia, and you would. How did it work? They would. I think there were like 6 or 7 of us that got on, and then there was like we'd compete against each other and eliminate each other. Like we were all sitting in a pit, and one person was up there, and we'd all were holding these envelopes. And if they were like, "Who has the envelope that says box office?" And I'd say, I think it's Dennis. And you'd open it up and you'd say like, I don't have it, but I have $340. And it would go in the pot. And then we'd compete, and whoever won 3 questions would go on. And there were like questions like, you know, like, what movie does Cher play mom to Winona Ryder?
Right.
And then they give you 3 answers, and you had to, and they told us, they said, you may know the answer before he finishes the question, but do not press your button until he actually finishes the last word of the question.
Right.
Because if you press it too soon, you won't be able to buzz in.
Yeah, you'll get locked out.
You get locked out.
My friends that have been on Jeopardy say it's all about the buzzer technique. Like that's like key. You were also on a show called Shop Till You Drop, which is different than Supermarket Sweep. So what happens? You're not running around a grocery store. What's happening?
You're running around, but it's not a grocery store. It's a fake 2-story mall. They had a 2-story mall, and you compete against another team, and you do all these like stunts and like and you know, and then they had this question round, and then whoever got the most points at the end gets to go shop to your drop. So it's like you and your partner, you were going on as a team, and there were different stores. It's so crazy. There were different stores and on both levels. And so you'd have prizes, and you'd get like 2 minutes or whatever. And one of you would open up the box, and there'd be like a prize in it. You have to decide really quick if you want to keep the prize or go and exchange it in one of the stores for another box. And inevitably, it's always you're going to exchange it because they want to see you running around.
Right.
And then at the end of it, when you finish it, if you make it in the 2 minutes or whatever it is, then they open the box. And if you won enough prizes, I can't remember the total amount, like if it was $2,000 of prizes, then you get to win the trip. And our trip was to Mexico City. But it was, we made it to the final round, and we got to run. I was the one running around, but it was exhausting. And they also you had the studio audience, and they also placed some members of the studio audience on the upper level, like as if like they were in a mall sitting and like having, you know, their lunch or something.
Right.
Like that. Basically, so you had to run around.
They were like in the food court. There was like a mini food court you had to dodge.
They were just sitting up there in front of the fake, like, you know, luggage store. And but you had to like run up there, and there's a guy with a camera with a steady cam, and you're like, everyone's in your fucking way. Right. And you're trying to get there, and you're out of breath. But it was fun. It was a totally fun show.
But it was sporty, a little sporty. Like you had to run.
Sporty.
Yep. Yeah. How am I running? Am I doing okay? I have this image of you throwing a trash compactor from the second floor to the first floor to your partner. No, not part of it.
No.
I want people throwing shit from the second floor down to the first floor.
I don't know. You know what? They never told us we couldn't throw the boxes over the edge. No, you know what? We had to run down with them. I don't know how somebody did fall. Like somebody at some point could have easily lost their footing, but you had to run down the steps, put it on the thing, and then hit the bell. Right. And then she could open the next one. But there was towards when the time was running out, there is, like, you could see this in the clip. There's one time where I was so tired, so out of breath, and I had this huge box in my hand. Because the first times I'm just like putting it on the thing and grabbing. Yeah. By the end, I was throwing it on the floor and grabbing the box. Because I'm like, we're running out of time. Yeah. I can't be nice about this.
And your partner was somebody that you didn't really know. It was sort of an arranged marriage. And you tried to do like some Andy McDowell, Gerard Depardieu green card preparation to know each other. But it worked out.
It totally worked out because it was my friend Kate, who I was in college with, and she had been on the show, and like the casting person there just like really enjoyed her and asked her if she could recommend somebody. So her friend was in from out of town, her friend Vicky, but you had to have a partner. She didn't know anybody. So Kate thought of me to be partners. So we kind of faked our relationship.
Yeah,
we told
your friendship.
them we had been. They didn't care.
They didn't care.
We'd been friends since childhood. They didn't fucking care. But we just kind of like made up a whole story.
I highlighted this piece from your script that I'm going to read because it's how badly you want to do well in this and do well physically.
Okay.
I felt like I needed to win this. And honestly, for every gay kid who was ever made to feel like they weren't good at sports, this wasn't a game show to me anymore. This was Angels in fucking America. It was like the gay version of the movie Groody. I love Angels in fucking America. Like you had something to prove.
I did because also in the show, I talk about the first game show I was on. I had to do something when I was really young and I lost. And it was kind of like, it involved like, it wasn't a sport, but I thought of it because it was coordination.
It was physical, yeah.
And it was physical. And I was like the first one out. And I was always the fucking first one out.
Right.
And so at this point, when I was on Shop to Drop, I'm like in my mid-20s. And I'm like, and when I had to do like these certain sports challenge, I felt like I'm going to fucking prove, like, honor myself as a kid. And I'm like, I'm going to, every gay kid that I was ever made not feel
I'm doing
good
it for all. You're doing it for me. You didn't know me, but you're doing it for me. And I felt that. I'm sure I felt that in a way.
Thank you. I should have gotten on the parade.
Yeah. My next game show experience that I want to talk about is my favorite game show, $20,000 Pyramid.
Mine too.
Oh, okay.
Of all time. That and Match Game. But the Pyramid is...
Pyramid is a player. Match Game is fun as a viewer, but as a player, I'm fucking good at it. I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And I went and auditioned, and I made it all the way through the different things. I'm literally at the studio. I don't get on, so I have to come back the next time. Yeah. So I'm back again, waiting for a chance to go on. It's Donny Osmond's the host.
Oh, cool.
And this guy walks in who's the executive producer who I've not met yet. And I know him a little bit.
Oh,
I met him at Oil Can Harry's, and I think we kind of had a date, and he was kind of a jerk. And so I got disqualified. So the point is, Mitch, he fucked me in the 90s, and then he ended up fucking me in the 2000s. Because my
double fucked.
My pyramid dreams were dashed.
Sucks.
And I was so good at it. And then I thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to become famous so I can be a celebrity person on Pyramid. I wouldn't be surprised if you thought that as well. Like, I want to become famous so I could be on Pyramid.
I want to be on Pyramid.
You're famous enough. You should be able to do it.
No, I'm not famous enough, but like, thank you.
God damn it. I feel like you are.
Well, that makes me feel great. I love you.
Yeah.
Match Game and Pyramid were the shows that I loved the most for the reasons that you said, but for Match Game, I really would, love to have been a celebrity on. I mean, I knew Charles Nelson Riley like later in life.
Yes.
But like also Pyramid, I would have loved to have been a contestant or give the clues as a celebrity. There's something, that show, it's just genius to analyze this show. When you look at like, it's so simple. Like when you get to the pyramid, you have 60 seconds to give clues. It's the sound, like the Dick Clark version, which is the best one. The sound of the boop, 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 boop.
Yep.
It's so suspenseful. It's so like, it's the best. And I used to get so angry when the audience would applaud, when they go, things an oven would say, and the audience would play, because it would take like 2 seconds off the pyramid.
Yeah.
I would get, like, don't clap.
Did you ever audition for it?
No, I never. I never auditioned for Pyramid.
Yeah.
I feel like it just like, and when every time a game show gets rebooted, it's just not as good.
It's not as good. Let me tell you this. I have this game that I created, You Don't Know My Life. My co-creator and I were at this games convention, and we were hosting like play tests and stuff. And they had like a pyramid thing that you could go do. And the people that do these game shows do them right. Like they have a board and it's like done, whatever. We crushed. We crushed it. But I'm still haunted by the one thing that I don't remember. It was a candy. It was like a Slim Jim, and I didn't know the slogan. And Jeb was giving me the slogan, and I hadn't heard of it. But we did so well. And for both of us, our friendship was built because our mutual love of Pyramid. That was like a beginning bond. And then we ended up creating this game together. But Pyramid, man, do you know there's a game that you
I'm so sorry you didn't get on. That
it was heartbreaking.
That far.
It was heartbreaking.
My boyfriend was telling me he's friends with this girl who does like hair and makeup for like certain shows. And she got on, I don't think it was maybe it was Wheel of Fortune. It was something. And no, it wasn't Wheel of Fortune. It was something. And the host saw her and said, "Oh, hi," and said hi, because I guess she had done her makeup on some other show. And she got instantly disqualified.
Damn it. Heartbreaking. Yeah. You're literally there in the studio ready to go on. And and you probably have friends in the audience that come and see you, and you're like, and when we had our little flirtation date thing or whatever, he wasn't nice to me. He didn't treat me right. So anyway, that's a whole thing.
I hate him.
I know. Have you been to Price is Right tapings? Because that was a dream of mine forever.
Me too. But no, I have not.
I have been to 2, and I love my name tag so much.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
I have the name tag. And the Let's Make a Deal name tags are solid too. And it's fun to meet the person that can do those block letters, because they're like, AI ain't going to replace her. I hope. Maybe it will. I don't know.
Right.
And here's the thing about Price is Right. I've talked about this before on the podcast. It is so loud in there, and people are screaming so much that I can imagine being a contestant and not being able to think, not being able to focus. I didn't hear the description of what that was. I could see not being able to play your best because it's just pandemonium. What game would you crush the best? What pricing game?
Before we go on, I have a Price is Right question for
you.
When you sat in the audience of that show, do you remember what years it was, or
it was pre-pandemic and then one post-pandemic. So pre-pandemic and then post-pandemic, my friend had already been and had a feeling she was going to get called, and she did. And so I was her friend. So I knew I probably wasn't going to get called. I think they screen a little more. The first time I went, I went with a group from people where we all work together, and none of us got picked. So that was an ouchie, but it was fun to be there.
How did your friend do?
She didn't get out of contestants row. It was a sad day. And
I used to feel so bad.
Yeah.
For anybody who was one of the first 4 contestants on The Price is Right who never got out of it. Because you just watched their enthusiasm and their desperation.
Right, they've been there the whole hour.
Dwindle, and their desperation and sometimes frustration and anger.
Oh, and they're so mad at themselves.
Or somebody somebody just came on down, and then they immediately
and they were like $1, Bob.
Kidding.
Yeah,
$1.
Yeah, that's so sneaky. Which pricing game would you do the best at? I would do the best at 10 Chances. That's the one where the little mountain climber goes up the... Oh, that's Cliffhanger. No. 10 Chances is the green... There's a green board, and there's 4 digits in the TV, and you have to write 3 of them, and then 5 digits in the car, and you write it with a marker on, and the thing moves across.
Oh, I don't know what I would have been the best at. I always loved it when the Cliffhanger game was on.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love Plinko a lot. Everyone does. I also love that stupid one. It's so basic, but it was a car. There was some prize like a couch, and then the piggy bank.
Yep.
And you just had
it's called Any Number. I believe that's called Any Number. I know that because I had the home game. And if Price is Right had a game that had not been put into the home game yet, I would make it myself.
So I also loved the one where there were 4 prizes, and you had to guess what cost what, and you pulled the lever, and it was 1 through 4, and you had to run back and switch them around.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
No, that's fun.
It's there's 4 prizes, and and you have the prices of each one, and you have to go and put them on each 4 prizes, and you run back and you pull this thing like a slot machine, and it says how many you got right. And then you have to go fix it, and you have to run back and pull it over. I like that one.
I remember that.
There was the one that seemed like the easiest to me.
Yeah.
The absolute easiest and would drive me crazy when people didn't play this right, was the one where there's 2 prizes, and the first one, the thing goes, you have like, I don't know, 90 seconds, 60 seconds, and you have to guess the price. And he's like, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher.
Oh,
lower.
yeah. Yeah, the clock game.
And it's so easy.
Yeah.
Like 300, 400, 500. Just go fast. 41,
42, 43, 44, 45, 46,
people
47.
would go like 400, higher, 500, lower, 450, higher,
Right.
470, higher, 480, higher. 490, like at that point, just fucking 481, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You like,
that's the clock game.
The clock game I liked, and there was the bummer game to me on The Price is Right that if I got on it and I got out of contestants role, got on, and I had to play it, and it was like, it was just like, here's 2 prizes. How much? Which one costs this?
Yeah,
you know, when
that's the one that's right after the Showcase Showdown that they have to get the half-hour mark before the second half hour.
It's a filler prize.
It's a filler game. Yeah, it's like pom pom ba. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I wanted to spin the wheel
so badly. I want to spin that big wheel so badly. There's 2 things I want to do in this life. I think I want to outlive Trump, and I want to spin the big wheel from Price is Right, which I hear is quite heavy. And remember how Bob Barker would get mad at you if you didn't get it all the way around?
The whole way around. Yeah.
Fucking furious.
I used to. I think you might be able to do both those things. By the way,
I hope so. It'd be cool if I could do them on the same day.
Spin the wheel. Yeah. I also got to, because for a while when Deal or No Deal was on, I was a bit obsessed with that, and somebody I know was creating a game show, and they needed some people to help them just rehearse it and practice it so they could do like a run through.
Right.
So they got some people they knew who can improvise. And it was on the set of Deal or No Deal, where,
So you got to go there.
I got to be on the set, and I got to do that I went up there and I'm like, no deal. Or close, I just wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I loved Deal or No Deal.
Well, here's the thing. I forgot I had a story about this. My friend Chill was a contestant on Deal or No Deal, and I was one of his booster, one of his friends.
Oh, one of those 3 friends.
Yes. It was me and his wife, Erin, and another friend, and we're over there in the peanut gallery or whatever. I remember, 5 phone calls being interviewed about this, and this producer was so obsessed with the fact that I had to have energy. You felt like if I didn't deliver on the crazy energy front, they were going to come and take her kids or something. The stakes were so high. I get it. I get it. I'll be crazy or whatever. But I had a herniated disc at the time, and I just remember my hand hurting the whole time. But we did it. We got through it. Again, it was one of those things where you can't see and hear as well as you'd think you would.
That's a crazy audience.
Luckily, I wasn't the player. I was just coaching. But my friend Chill won I can't remember exactly how much. I want to say it was between $150,000 and $200,000. It was amazing. A ton, and it was a thrilling thing. And my boyfriend at the time, we had it on our DVR for a while, and I think whenever he just needed a feel good moment, he would bring up when Chill won on Deal or No Deal. I don't know. There is something about game shows. You hinted at this, where I think we think big crazy things can happen, like things that like kind of windfall moments.
Yeah.
And they can on these shows, and they do. And seeing other people experience, there is something wonderful about it.
It's just pure positive energy, really.
Yeah.
It's not can't even think of it. Even there, in the early 2000s, there were those, I don't think there were game shows or whatever they are, reality TV, like Fear Factor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That were they were kind of but for the most part, these regular game shows, it's, I know that they're crazy about you gotta be energy, and you gotta be animated, and you gotta be all that. And everyone's gotta have a story now. It feels like everyone's gotta have some sort of a story that the audience can get on board with.
Yeah.
But, which is really interesting, because when you watch game shows in the 70s, like Match Game, the contestants were kind of
ciphers.
Just blanks. They're just kind of they're just I'm this, and I sell insurance, but they're not big personalities.
Nobody with liver transplants waiting to happen or.
No, but now it feels especially when Deal or No Deal was on.
Yeah.
It felt like the contestants are now in on the game.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being contestants and being normal people. The contestants are now acting a little bit. They're all like, they know they have to be really positive. They know they have to be this. They're in on how to act like a game show contestant.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe now. It's not, it's just how it is.
Do you know about the app game that you can get for your phone called 7 in 7?
No, I do not.
It's basically Pyramid. Download that shit. The next time you're hanging with your friends at a bar, bring it up. It is so fun. We'll get together. 7 in 7. 7 in 7. It's basically Pyramid. It doesn't have the it doesn't have the winner circle round, but maybe I'll text you and we'll go meet at High Tops and play 7 in 7. I said High Tops because I feel like that's where gay guys know now. Yeah, it's crazy. My Price is Right thing, I just forgot about this. When I was first in LA, I was in a sketch comedy group called Off Fairfax, and we used to do shows at Largo. And my best character was Janice from The Price is Right. Because everything was gestures, and the sketch she'd gotten let go from Price is Right, and she was applying at an employment agency, and he's like, well, we're going to need to take a typing test, and she couldn't type, but she would gesture around the typewriter, like she couldn't let the Price is Right stuff go. And you said this thing that reminded me of it. He's like, how much do you want to make an hour? Do you want to say like, $7.50? And she's like, higher, $7.75. No, 70. How much? 74, 73, 78. Yes, $7.73.
Great.
Yeah, like Janice, job for Janice. Man, those were the days. That was 100 years ago.
I also feel like it felt. This is not true at all. But it does feel like the models in the 70s and 80s, like were named like always Janice or Lois.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the Card Sharks models were Janice and Lois.
Right.
And there was a Janice on Price is Right. I don't know why that was such a game show model name.
Here's another thing I wonder. If I were a sociologist, this is something I would study. When we were kids, we watched kids stuff on Saturday morning. But if it was during the week, we were watching game shows and shit. And Andy Griffith reruns or Dick Van Dyke or whatever. We weren't watching Nick at Night. We weren't, or Nickelodeon kids or Disney. No. We weren't watching kids shit all the time.
That shit wasn't it
didn't exist.
Around.
Yeah.
No, we watched art. I watched reruns of, and I'd love them. I watched reruns of Bewitched.
Yeah.
That was my.
But it was adult stuff. We weren't watching stuff for kids all the time. Interesting.
Yeah, but it's true. It was adult stuff, but those shows could be made for kids. They're so innocent. They're so like they could be for kids. But yeah, no, I never used to watch that stuff. And I'm too old for like, when did the slime game shows start?
Yes, the Nickelodeon, we didn't know, not our thing.
About that stuff.
No, I want Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers, having repartee. I don't want some
innuendo and Paul Lynde doing innuendo, and they're like, now you watch those shows, like you watch reruns of them, they were like kind of making gay jokes, like right in our face.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with Match Game. We've talked about it a lot on this show, obviously. There's one other thing I want to talk about your show, but I want to end with that. So why don't we tell people how they can see it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's at the Dynasty Typewriter Theater, and you can get tickets at dynastytypewriter.com.
Yeah.
If you get tickets now, they're $20, but if you wait till the day of the show, it's $25.
Yeah.
And it's on Monday, February 24th at 7:30. Oh, and the show is called 5 Game Shows and a Funeral.
5 Game Shows and a Funeral.
Did we say that?
I think so. I think we said it up front, but I think it's important to bring it back, to say it again. Yeah.
5 Game Shows and a Funeral.
Yeah. I was watching Bridesmaids the other night. You have that amazing sequence. How often do you get recognized from being the flight attendant in that? Because that's a movie people watch over and over and over again.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's really good.
It's so fucking good.
It's really good. I'm so happy to be in that. I'm happy to be in anything. But it was, every once in a while I get recognized from it. Or
do you ever get recognized on planes?
I did. I used to get recognized on planes maybe within the first 5 years of that. And sometimes by passengers, but often by the flight attendants.
Yeah. Would they give you upgrades?
They gave me things.
Cookies.
Cookies and things. Or I can't remember getting an upgrade, but I remember getting attention from them. It was like I was their patron saint. I mean, it was like, but
you felt their pain because you were fucking fed up with this nonsense.
fed up with it. This woman was going crazy. And, it was, every once in a while, a really cool thing happened, this last summer because, I love in LA, we have those cemetery movies at the Hollywood Forever thing. And it's one of my favorite things to do in LA every year. And I just love going there. And they showed Bridesmaids this year. And it was my friend Dana, who played the other flight attendant in it. She had the red hair.
Yep.
And we went and because they have like a VIP section at the, there. And we're like, how do you get VIP tickets? So I found out how to get them and they said, sure. And we went and saw Bridesmaids and we were treated like we were major celebrities. It was so nice. No, thank you.
For that crowd. No, for that crowd. Yes.
But it was, so we were in the VIP section and I was with Dana, my boyfriend, and my other friend, Sarah, and the movie was starting and I got high. We were very high. Yeah. And the guy comes out. Have you been there before, right? Yeah. The guy comes out who runs this and he makes the general announcement about the movie and he goes, we have a special guest in the audience. Now there are thousands of people here. Most of them probably drunk or high. And they go, we have a special guest here. He played the flight attendant. He played Steve/Stove. Mitch Silpa's here. And so I was just like very high. I didn't know what's going on. My boyfriend goes, stand up. I stood up. The crowd went fucking crazy.
Amazing.
It was like a rock concert. Yeah. It happened and I sat back down. None of my friends.
You were like Justin Bieber at the height.
For a second.
Yes.
I was Justin Bieber at
the height of it all.
But so that was so sweet. It was really, but yeah, that movie, I guess, means a lot to people. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. But like every once in a while, I recognize, or they're like, how do I know? Do I know you from somewhere? And I'll often say, or I'll go, I don't know. Or if something's like, well, I mean, usually it's Bridesmaids, but
right.
Go, oh yeah. Or they'll say, no, I never saw that. I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's something else.
I saw Barb and Star, the screening at the Egyptian that they did in front of the audience. And it was so special to be there, with an audience for this movie that was in the pandemic. So yeah.
I love that movie. That movie is so funny.
Well, with an audience, it's so different than when you were watching it at home. It was 100%. Magic. People were dressed up. It was really one of my favorite things about LA are these kind of experiences.
It's so sad. I mean, obviously this is not the worst thing about the pandemic, but it is just for that movie that it didn't get a theatrical run because it's so original and so funny and so Christian and Annie Mumolo, so their voice.
Yeah.
Great.
To wrap it up, I related so much to the way you wrote about your father in the beginning of the piece, but something comes around for you guys later in the piece that I found so moving, which wasn't really an experience that I had. And so I was living vicariously through you. But when you did Card Sharks, there was a part where that one of your parents kind of helped you. And it wasn't just a fun thing that your family did. You talk about how it sort of changed your relationship in a way. And I don't want you to give too much away, but I just thought that was Card Sharks. It mattered in your family.
Yeah, it really, it sounds, I mean, it's frivolous because it's game shows and they're fun, but Card Sharks in particular had a profound effect on me and my family. It was this event that, and I don't want to give too much away either, but they were, you basically used to gamble on that show. Like if you win and you went to the money cards, which was the bonus round, you're betting. So we're kids. They were having a teen week and they were didn't want it. It didn't look so good to have kids gambling.
Right.
So they had told us that we had to pick one of our parents if we won and we went to the bonus round to stand next to us so we confer with them and then bet $200 higher. And so, I had to pick one of my parents and I chose my dad for a variety of reasons. But my dad and I had a really, really difficult relationship through most of my childhood and early adulthood. And it was a real sort of bonding experience for us that we had this memory of the two of us on this show that was always kind of connected us and we were working together. It's a really, as an adult to watch it now, it's a really sweet memory, like
Right.
my dad and I getting along. And even though we kind of fought, we did argue.
Right.
on TV
But you know
because
what?
we argued, but
he was proud of you. He expressed
Yeah.
pride in you.
Yeah.
And you could hear my voice kind of catch because that's a thing. That's an important
Yeah.
thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot wait to come and see the show. Everyone should come and see it. I will be there. And anything else we should watch for, or social media, or anything else you want to get a
social
plug in?
media. I mean, I don't know what to tell. Social media. I'm on Instagram.
Yes.
I'm on TikTok. My Instagram is Mitch Silpa Pics.
Yeah.
PICS, and TikTok is just Mitch Silpa.
Okay.
That's about it right now. That's
All
all
right.
I got to plug right now.
All right. To end this, we're gonna play one round of 7 and 7. One question thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it up. Okay.
I hope I don't fail.
No, because it's really on the clue giver. So I will show you how it works. Okay. So it's loading now. This is what it looks like. So there's all these different categories. Like celebrities, general knowledge, TV shows, music, sports, animals, food. And then I paid for extra ones that were like award winners, comedies, rom-coms, whatever. So there's things. So we're going to do general knowledge because that's the easiest one. Or the ones that's not too crazy.
Is this all entertainment trivia?
No, some is.
Any trivia?
This is just general knowledge.
Okay.
And so then I'm going to give you the thing. And when I hit start, here we go. This is general knowledge. We've been talking about game shows for an hour.
Yeah.
We're into it. We've really kind of built ourselves up as people with some chops.
Okay. Oh, God.
We're going to see how we do, okay? Because what happens if you don't get it, if I can't get you to say the thing in like a certain amount of seconds, it goes on to the next. So we're fucked. Okay, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
And it's just like pyramids.
Yes.
How it's
3, 2, 1. Okay, a bow and you
arrow.
shoot. Yes, boom. Okay, President Michelle's husband.
Obama.
Yes, that's
Brock.
it. Okay, you take DEF. It's healthy for you. You pop these pills. They are
Vitamins?
Yes, that's it. Okay, Clark Kent is
Superman.
Yes. Okay. It's where you look up things online. Like they have all the facts. It's a certain
Google?
website. The website with all the. Oh, never mind. Okay, not the sun, but it's in the sky.
Moon.
Yes. Okay. And LeBron James plays this sport.
Basketball.
Yes. We got a sporty one right, but we missed.
You did the gesture.
Yes, we did. We missed Wikipedia. So, you know what?
Wikipedia. People were screaming.
But look at us. We didn't get the facty thing. We got the sporty thing. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. And we got 18 points. See, it kind of scores based on how fast you go. And so then you would hit next, and then you would I'd pass the phone to you, and you would give it back to me.
That's actually a fun game to play, even like you said, like if you're waiting in line for something.
But my friends and I do it. Yeah, it's super fun. It's really fun. All right, Mitch, this was a delight.
Probably be thank you.
No,
it was
super fun. I love game shows, and I can't wait to see your show. So thank you for doing the podcast.
Much.
All right.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thanks again to Mitch Silpa. Go see his show, 5 game shows and a funeral at Dynasty Typewriter on Monday, February 24th. I will be there. All right. So this happened. Actually, a few things happened, and I'm going to talk about them in order of them happening. Okay, so Friday. If you listen to this podcast, you know I am part of what we call the Xana crew, which I cannot say without laughing. I can't also hear it without laughing. If somebody's saying it to me, I also laugh. Anyway, it's a group of people that love the movie Xanadu. It kind of came together last year. This podcast was kind of part of what got it going. There was already a kind of a group forming, and then my friend Rustin heard me talking about Xanadu on the Linoleum Knife podcast, which I also ran on this feed, and then a luncheon happened, and now there's a group and maybe a plan. We're going to try to do a 45th anniversary. We are going to do it. I'm manifesting that in August. So we had a meeting of the Xana crew. So my friend Michael Selditch, who's also been on the podcast, happens to be neighbors with a woman named Terry Beckerman. And Terry was one of the original muses in Xanadu. I don't know her muse number or her name, but she was in it. And long story short, Michael brought Terry to our luncheon of the Xana crew last Friday. And she had photo albums. She had this wool jacket that were souvenirs for all the crew or maybe just the muses, but it was a beautiful jacket. It was in that maroon color that we got our jackets made in because it matches Michael Beck's jacket in Xanadu. And she told stories. She posed for pictures. She was also on Donnie and Marie a bunch and told stories. Anyway, we were all losing our minds around this conference table with just, it was a Xana Crew euphoria moment. And Terry was wonderful, had great stories. Here's one of my favorites. She was not originally cast as a muse. She was just like a dancing extra, I think, through Screen Extras Guild. And then she got promoted to a muse during, like, when they were shooting, because somebody, I think, had to wasn't able to do it. Oh, you know what it was? It was Maureen Jahan who ended up dancing for Jennifer Beals in Flashdance. There was visa problems or whatever. She couldn't do the movie, so they got Terry, and Terry crushed it. Terry's also a great ice skater, by the way, and was one of the Ice Angels on Donnie and Marie. Remember that? And then after the whole movie was wrapped, she got a call. They had the wrap party and everything, that they were going to add a number, like a soft shoe number with Gene Kelly and Olivia Newton-John, which is, of course, Whenever You're Away From Me. And they wanted Terry to come and assist. And so Terry kind of came and helped and, like, would stand in for Olivia. And we have these wonderful photos. Kira from the Xana Crew, who's a crackerjack researcher and collector, has this photo of, like, Terry being cradled in Gene Kelly's arms like Olivia was in the movie. And so you see the side by side of that. And so, and I guess that whole musical sequence was shot after they had already wrapped, and they put it in the movie. So that was amazing. That was just a delight. Terry was great. And the Xana Crew, we're rolling on. We're rocking and rolling. The other thing that happened was we did the mismatch game. It was our Valentine's Day all thorned up edition. We had Jackie Beat. We had Sherry Vine doing the show for the first time as Rue McClanahan. Daddy Casillas was Reba Arriba. Felix Pyre was Antonio Banderas for the first time, and it was very funny. He did this Puss in Boots stuff, and his voice, it was very sexy, actually. I was getting a little turned on, and as were others in the audience. And we had Melissa Peterman from Reba, who has done the show one other time before, and it was 17 years ago, and she came back. She does this character called Rena Z, who is like a Hollywood starlet, but she just never gets cast in anything. And but she has stories about everyone. She knows where all the bodies are buried, and she's very funny. And then we had Tom Lenk as Tilda Swinton in this crazy outfit. Anyway, there was something in the air. It was just magic and madness. The audience is amazing. They interact in a fun way. All the cards got bid on, and, you know, we made over $4,100 for the center, and it was just a knockout of a night. And I don't know, we all needed it. We all needed the fun and the irreverence. And I made candles as prizes for the mismatch game, some of the winners and the auctions. And Melissa Peterman as Rena goes, "Oh, that's not sad at all." So my candle making became this running joke as being kind of a sad thing that I do. And it was hilarious. But I am undaunted. I am going to make more candle. It's going to become a thing. And because somebody would bid and they'd be like, "I guess I'll take a candle." Like, it was all in good fun. But yeah, they let me have it for the candle making, and I stand by it. But then I confessed, because I was like, "Well, fuck you if you don't like my candles." When I was making them, I couldn't find the good stickers that go on the bottom, so I just used regular tape, and they did not stick well. And so the wicks are wonky in this particular batch of mismatch game candles. But you know what? If these fuckers are going to make fun of me for it, then they can have their wonky wicks. Then they don't deserve my best work. Okay, and then finally, the third thing that happened that was cool is last night I went to a screening of Wicked for the third time. It was part of the Variety screening series. I went with my friends Glenn and Matt and Rebecca, and Cynthia Erivo was there. Ariana Grande was there. Mark Platt, the producer, was there. No John Chu, because he didn't get nominated for an Oscar, but all the technical people that got nominated were there. I don't know, seeing it at the Directors Guild, gosh, the sound and the picture, it's just like the best place to see a movie. And boy, does that movie satisfy. It is so... This time what struck me was, you know, the storytelling when it comes to how authoritarianism kind of creeps into a culture and a world. And boy, is it every time I see it, it's more relevant than it was the week before. And Cynthia and Ariana were delightful in the Q&A. And Cynthia made this point that I thought was really smart and kind of not the things that people say when they're Oscar campaigning. she goes, you guys, this was a big movie with a lot of stuff going on. She goes, it could have been really bad. Let's face it. It could have been bad, but it wasn't. And it was because of John Chu, the way he brought everything together. And it's right. Like, sometimes big movies like that can just get overblown and not work. And then with this one, there was somebody with real vision at the helm who brought it home and brought it all together beautifully. And I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande deserve an award for their campaign for, like, showing up everywhere. I feel like Thanksgiving weekend, I think Cynthia was going door to door and doing the wow. Like, it really felt like they were everywhere. But they've done it with such grace and charm and humor and patience. And, man, they must be exhausted. But they had cute outfits too, and they're bringing it. Cynthia told a story about how when she was sick during Wicked, she was really sick. She got back to her apartment where she was staying, and John Chu had made her soup himself. Like, he didn't have enough on his plate. He made her soup because his parents own a restaurant. He grew up kind of as a kid in a restaurant. And he made her soup, but he didn't have garlic or onions in it because Cynthia hates both of those things. And Ariana told a story about how when they were shooting Defying Gravity, when the part where they sing together, there's a part in the middle of the song where they sing together, that she had a burned ass because the steamer that was steaming out her skirt before the scene, it got a little too hot and burned her ass. So literally between takes, she's ice packing her ass, and then she would go sing Defying Gravity. So that's a little something to think about the next time you watch the movie. Anyway, it's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but we do still manage to have some fun and keep doing our thing, I guess. That's it. All right. Before I let you go, I want to thank Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels for Placement Music. We'll catch you next time. I'm Dennis Anyone. Bye.